The Coach Curl podcast is brought to you by Think and Grow Business, the home of the Think and Grow Business Mastermind. If you're serious about growing your business, get serious and join a mastermind group today. Find out more at thinkandgrowbusiness.com.au.
Hey there, it's Tony here, and welcome to episode 107 of the Coach Curl podcast. Today we're talking about why leadership.
Way to go. Keep it going. Good job, guys. All right, Paul. I see you. All right, Charlie. Finish. Coach Curl. Great job, guys.
Coach Curl, we love you!
I just love that intro. It just takes me back to New York every single time I hear it. Hey, today, episode 107 of the Coach Curl podcast, we're talking about leadership, and we're talking about the concept of why should I develop myself as a leader? It's a question I get asked many times over and over and over again, and it's one that I have a very similar response to over and over and over again. See, one of the things about leadership is that a lot of people will look at people and think that they're a natural leader. They'll see this natural style of effervescent leader, and they'll think that leadership potentially, when we compare ourselves to them, is beyond us. And at the end of the day, that's completely wrong. Because leadership skills can be developed. And if we really are serious about developing ourselves as people, the development of our leadership ability and our leadership skills will help us in all aspects of our life. So when we think about leadership, I always think about that ability to influence, that ability to build trust, that ability to communicate clearly, the ability to have courage under fire, the ability to do the right thing. They are some of the real strengths and skill sets that I see constantly within leaders. And it's one that, and each and every one of those skills can be developed. So why should I develop myself as a leader? John Maxwell wrote a book, and it's called The 21 Irrefutable Laws of Leadership. And it's one of the go-to texts in relation to leadership that there are. It's a go-to text. So what John wrote about in the 21 Irrefutable Laws, law number one is a law called the law of the lid. The law of the lid. And what that equates to is that the level of our success will always be limited by the level that we are as a leader. So think about that. The level of our success will always be limited by where we are as a leader. So if we want to have a success ratio in our life in maybe the 8 to 10 range, the reality is that we need to be a leader. We need to have those leadership skills of an 8 to 10 range. But many people are a 5. Many people are less than 5. But they want the 8. They want the lifestyle, the success of an 8. But fundamentally, they're living their life with the leadership skills and ability of a 4 or 5. And what that creates is an obvious disconnect between where they are and where they want to be, and without any clear indicator of how to get there or inclination on how to get there. So think about that. Vividly brought to my This is a vivid thing that I've seen many times over and over again throughout my career. I know that when I was with Bunnings, for example, I was running my store at Rockley there in particular, my favourite store and my favourite team. Not to say that I didn't have great teams in other stores, but that was my team there were just absolutely amazing and went through so much heartache and pain to deliver some fantastic results. But I was also what they called the regional mentor, and the regional mentor was the operational support for future leaders coming through the programs, coming through leadership and management development programs that the company was running. So what we saw And what I saw was, during a 3-year period, I supported, 55 people take their first steps from being a team member on the floor to being a frontline leader. And that's pretty empowering, and that's pretty inspiring, and that's one of the main reasons I do what I do now, is because of the joy and the satisfaction that I felt when I saw these people move. So in that group, there was at any one time, there was always a group of like 10 or 12 going through. And within those groups, you'd see people that had leadership skills and ability of about an 8, and then you'd have others that were maybe a 4 or a 5. And one of the real things that I saw in those groups is that the 8s would network with the 8s or the 9s, and the 4s and the 5s would network with the 4s and 5s. And the reason why is because of this thing called comfort. So when I saw, especially the 4s and 5s, I'd always challenge them to network with people that were slightly ahead, that were slightly better. You know that old saying, if you're the smartest person within your group of friends or within the room, find yourself a new room. And these 4s or 5s would fundamentally stay networking around themselves. And that's okay. People make that choice. People make that choice to stay within that comfort zone. But what I now see, and this is like 7 years after I left Bunnings and moved on, I see people within those groups that I help support move into first leadership roles. Some are now in much more senior roles, running stores. They've got teams of 150, and they are, funnily enough, the 8s or the 9s. And then when I think about the 4s and 5s and I look at where they are, fundamentally they're still in that same frontline position role. So it's a real vivid visual indicator of people that want to develop their leadership skills and what that can do for themselves. So the more you can develop your skills, the better off you're going to be, the stronger that you will be, the better your career will take, and more growth for you. But if you're not prepared to develop your skills, if you're prepared to say, well, naturally I'm not very good at this, or fundamentally you may be delusional and think you're too good at this, if you're not prepared to grow, man, that's a shame. That's an absolute shame. But B, you won't achieve the success that potentially you can. It's called the law of the lid, and we can raise the lid, and we can raise that lid through developing ourselves as leaders. And it's a fundamental truth. Hey, my name's Tony, Coach Curl podcast. A big thank you and a shout out to my wonderful team at Think and Grow Business. Think and Grow Business, where we're strengthening leaders' mindsets and business acumen. We also have my book that's out there. It's called Seriously Simple Stuff to Get You Unstuck. It's available at Amazon and wherever good books are sold. You should see my book. And if you don't, ask for it, please, because we want to be in all the best bookstores. 20% of every book goes to support the wonderful work being done by the team at Carter's Cause, as always. So I hope you took some great value from today. We really do appreciate your feedback. Please review. Send us those reviews, those 5-star reviews. It helps other people find us out there in this amazing world of podcasts. And if you know that this may be of benefit to someone, please share it with them. Remember, today you're standing stronger, braver, and wiser. And let's never forget the golden rule. Just don't be an arsehole. Until next time.